Welcome. Hello.
Hi.
So, welcome to our latest ethical session, where we meet the co-founders of Mintie.
G'day.
Quick introduction. So, I'm Matt from Ethical.
I'm Ryan from Ethical.
I'm Vic from Mintie Lunchboxes.
And I'm Dan from Mintie Lunchboxes.
So, would you be able to tell us about the world of Mintie?
Yeah.
Sure.
Do you want?
Why don't you start?
Okay. Well, we are a tiny team of just two of us two. We set up in 2017 and we were driven by our own kind of motivations to make some lifestyle changes at home. For me, it was driven by some health changes that I'd had to make, and I was packing up our kids' food every day. And I'd started to package our kind of leftovers and lunches in slightly different materials using glass and some stainless steel, but we kind of couldn't find a product that we were looking for. Dan has a background in design, and he kind of gave a throwaway comment one day, I think we could probably make something ourselves, which was met with me saying, okay, I'll leave that to you. So he then went away and spent the next few months looking into products that we could potentially create ourselves. And do you want to kind of say a bit more about how you did that? Because I hid at that point, I think.
Yeah, well, I think it was clear what we needed, because in that instant, we were very much trying to make children's packed lunches and trying to make them in the best way possible with the least amount of waste. And when you look at some of the other materials, like plastic lunchboxes are obviously everywhere, and glass tends to be quite heavy, and stainless steel is the sort of thing that's used in professional kitchens throughout the world because it's very easy to clean. It's hygienic, yeah. And actually it's quite lightweight, you know, in daily use, and an ideal material for a lunchbox. And just the simple addition of some sections in the lunchbox to keep your different parts of your lunch separate, which is great for children. And we also decided to include a little snack pot for more liquidy things like dips and sauces.
So I think that what we were trying to find is something that was a whole set. So we'd been using different products that we'd found online, and we were struggling, weren't we, to find something that provided a kind of lunch set solution. And we wanted it not only to be kind of durable and long lasting, but we were trying to change some of our own habits at home in terms of our own plastic use. And we were trying to bring that all in together. So I think that's where it kind of came into the design and making it more of a set.
Yeah, and we were very much led by how we wanted to use it every day, and designing it around that. And our first product was the Mintie Duo set, which included the items I mentioned and a cotton bag to put that in, and your fruit or snacks, the extra things that you want to include, and a little band just to hold your cutlery in or whatever extras you want to strap to the box. And we tried and tested that for several months with our own children, using it every day, and we made small refinements over time, and it proved to be quite successful. Other people were very positive about it, and we could see that actually we could make a business out of this. You know, this could really be something. So it started from there really, and we moved into different places that we sell it, and we started to add more products, and it's developed into what it is now.
Yeah, so that's a really interesting story, and it's good to hear sort of the inspiration of where it come from an actual problem rather than something that was already out there. You tried to find a solution to something that you were facing yourselves. So yeah. You mentioned about sort of your lunchbox set being a sort of a kit for everything rather than just a one-stop shop of one, it fixes one problem. So would you say that's what makes you stand out from other brands on the shelf?
Yeah, I would say that's one element that makes us stand out. I think that we really have wanted to create something that's been driven by our own motivation and need. And I think that when that happens, when you're creating something, hopefully it's then shown in the product and the outcome that you have. So having a set definitely enables you to buy something that, as a parent, a carer, a student, a young person, whatever, you can just kind of go with it, and you've only got to buy one thing rather than it quickly adding up. Because one of the things that we were finding when we were trying to buy things ourselves was I'd get something in and it would be a tin or a glass box, but then I would need a smaller container to put inside of that, or there wouldn't be anything to hold it together in their school bags. So it was really trying to, yeah, as you say, solve a problem that we had seemingly found. I hope that the other thing that stands out is that we are passionate about what we're doing. We believe in what we're doing. We've started it literally from the ground up, learning on a massive up curve of learning everything from kind of product design to how to write an invoice, to how to communicate with kind of stockists. It's all new to us. Dan's background is in kind of acoustics and mine is education, so this is new, but it's been a great opportunity, and I hope that kind of has come across in our, I suppose, our organic growth, and the fact that we are actually these parents, we are the genuine people that are using these products, and the face to Mintie is us, and I hope that kind of comes through in what we're doing.
And the things that are important to us, I think, are the strengths of what we're offering. I mean, we personally only prefer to make things that are very high quality. You know, we want things to be functioning well, and we want them to last, and we want them to be useful for people. And once you've got that kind of the basic thing right, that the function is really good and the quality is really good, the other thing that's really important to us is to provide a good service to people. So, you know, if people want something, they should talk to us, and we'll try to help them out, and we'll do what we can to make it as useful to you as possible. One of the things that we've tried to expand into is supporting small shops with small wholesale orders, and we're willing to be as flexible as possible with that. And also for the customer that wants to, you know, make it their own, we offer full personalisation on pretty much everything that we do. Yeah. For example, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
For us, it's been really good because we, to be honest, weren't great in terms of our plastic usage, in terms of like single-use plastic bottles. And since we have got one of the stainless steel bottles, I haven't purchased any single plastic bottle actually.
No, I take it everywhere with me. Yeah. I've got a smaller one I've got for my coffee mug, and then I've got this for my water when I'm out and about, and it really helps.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, I just found it really useful because it makes you realise how many single-use plastic bottles you are buying, whether it be within meal deals or just, you know, out and about on the shelf and you need a bottle of water, but you don't realise that how many of those plastic bottles are either being incinerated or going to landfill, even if it's 100% made from recycled materials.
Yes.
Still after that, there's we live right next to Brighton Beach, and the amount of plastic bottles that we see just being chucked out on the beach and people are just discarding them. But for us, we just don't see that as a problem anymore. It doesn't even enter our minds now. We've got our own.
Yeah, it's good.
That's a real win for us as well, because that's the kind of thing that we love to hear, because that's part of our kind of overall aims and objectives. And we are kind of sold that a message that you can recycle, which obviously is much better than just dumping it on the beach and not doing anything with it. But at the same time, that plastic bottle will only be able to be recycled so many times before it becomes unable to be turned into a plastic bottle again, and the plastic doesn't ever go anywhere. So that's wonderful that you're loving your bottles and you're using them. And I think some of what we were doing is part of the journey for us was we were trying to reduce our waste, we were trying to reduce our plastic use, We're by no means a plastic-free household at all, but we are trying to make those small changes every day, every week. And it gets you thinking about, like you say, when you're buying a meal deal or you're going into a shop to get a drink, it's that kind of 2-second stop where you stand and you think, hey, do I need to buy this, or have I got something that I can use? And I think that with the scheme, the refill scheme in Brighton and Hove as well, where you can fill up your bottle or your container at lots of, well, it may be different now because of COVID, but before you could just ask for your bottle to be refilled. By using their app and finding out where that you could do that, then it's those kind of things that will really drive us forward in making those changes that turn into a habit, I think, is really the important thing.
That's right. And I think part of our drive for quality and making nice products is, I'm a firm believer in people will choose to use something if they love it. So if you make a good product and you want to put it in your bag every day, then that's so much more useful than making a product that doesn't quite fit the bill or doesn't quite hit the mark, because it will just be stuffed in the drawer and then it's as good as waste if it's not being used. So that's another kind of driving force behind what we're trying to do.
Yeah, it's a really good mission. I think it's, as I said, it's almost like those little changes that you can make in your daily routine, which then add up to something far greater. Because obviously from this, having our water bottles, now we're thinking, okay, but in terms of our meal deal, we're still getting our food in a plastic container and it's stuff like that. So it's in terms of how else can we move forward, and you become a lot more conscious about the amount of waste that you make on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So moving on to a bit more of a difficult situation due to like sort of COVID-19 recently. Just wanted to understand your biggest challenges as you entering the new decade.
Well,
COVID-19.
Yeah. I mean, you've highlighted the obvious one. In some ways, it's presented an opportunity in the respect that more people are shopping online, and for a small business, obviously that suits us for that kind of thing. But the biggest negative in our view in recent months has been the effect it's had on the small shops that are places where you could go to refill, particularly with things like zero waste shops selling dry goods and stuff that you can refill. I think that's been a huge negative for everyone, really. We've started to come out of that. The zero waste shops are reopening just like everyone else.
And you can take your own containers.
You can take your own containers. It's been shown that it's safe to use your own containers, and obviously a lot of people have seen the positive environmental impact that reduced pollution has had just generally over the last few months. So I think there's been a sort of small scale sort of awakening to environmental issues to a broader group of people than previously. So while it's a bit sort of nebulous, I think it's generally a positive thing in that regard.
It's just made us, in terms of challenges, we've needed to increase our flexibility in every respect of life, and that's not just in running a small business. It's kind of managing family life, learning how to homeschool, which we'd never done before, and just try to keep engaged with our community as well. When something like a global pandemic happens, there's often that kind of fight, flight and freeze situation where like, what do we do? Where do we go? How do we react? And I think that it's kind of taught us that many things about our kind of own personal family life, but also working together in very close quarters at the moment, and also in terms of determining really what it is our community wants and what our customers want and what the need is. And it's given us a bit of a pause to be able to determine that and spend a bit more time thinking more widely, rather than every day it would be very much about packing orders, getting things out, doing the day-to-day, kind of very much a firefighting process. And this time has given us a bit more of headspace to kind of look at things in a bit of a bigger picture, really. So
absolutely,
it's a bit of a rambling description there. Have you got anything we need?
Well, I think that it's one of those situations where a crisis also presents opportunity, and I think everyone's trying to see the best in what has been a really difficult situation for a lot of people. I mean, just generally, we as a business are moving out of the very first stages of trialing this kind of concept and it becoming a much more of a serious ongoing concern and requiring that much more time and effort, and just the pains of scaling up. I suppose we're just starting to see what that feels like, but I'm sure it's a good thing. It's a good problem to have, and we're relishing the challenges as much as we can.
So on that note, in a more positive sense, what does the future hold for Mintie? So we talked about how it's been difficult over the last few months, but what's the plans for the future?
I think we hope to continue to grow steadily but mindfully. So each step of the way we're aware that what we want to do in terms of creating more products, just bringing new things on board is great, but we like to spend time refining them, testing them, seeing if they really do work and last for however many months, years, decades that we need them to. Maybe the testing process isn't a decade, that's a huge exaggeration, but just having the opportunity to continue to introduce products into our range. But I think for Dan and I, we also part of what we do and what we really enjoy doing is working with other small businesses, working with other community members. We really believe in wanting to kind of give back in what we're doing at Mintie, so we've kind of dipped our toe in that in terms of matching donations offered at the website to the Brighton Dolphin Project. We're supporters of the Surfers Against Sewage 250 campaign, and I think that as that kind of develops and grows, we would like to increase those connections in lots of different elements. So looking at sustainability, looking at other ethical brands that we can partner with, looking at providing resources and information to people about making healthy choices. Sometimes we're kind of sold this notion that in order to eat a particular way, it has to come in a packet or it has to come from X, Y, and Z. And I suppose it's kind of myth busting some of that, and maybe working with some beautiful recipe developers to help us create fantastic things to go in our lunch boxes. So I think it's about obviously growth as a business, growth as a couple in terms of the product range, but also widening our diverse community that we're hoping that we can work with more in the future.
Agreed.
No, it's really exciting. It's a nice way to go about it in terms of obviously you want to grow, but you want to not only grow yourselves, but grow the other businesses that you're working with and also support charities along the way. And in terms of our partnership, so yourselves at Mintie, you're actually one of our first people we got on board, and that was way before we had anything. We didn't,
no website.
Yeah, no website, no customers, and so we talked to you and we just pitched our concept, really, wasn't it, before we had anything tangible to show. But you obviously displayed all your faith in us, and it was so appreciated. And this is where we are now. So just wanted to ask, so what did you see in us at Ethical?
Well, I think the concept that you proposed right from the start was something that we believed in.
Yeah.
I think that small businesses are up against challenges, consumers are up against challenges, and creating a platform to bring small businesses and ethical consumers together is what's needed right now. There's not, there's a sort of a steadily advancing tide of big corporations hoovering up online business, and that control kind of takes some control from the consumer, and what you're doing, I think, is giving both the small businesses a voice and the consumer. You're showing them choice. You're showing them the options they've got that are right on their doorstep often, that they don't even know was there otherwise. And allowing small businesses to support each other within a community is also very valuable.
And I think that your idea with the rewards scheme as well, it provides a whole package, doesn't it? It's incentive as well as what, you know, wanting to shop a little bit more kindly or a bit more thoughtfully, or whatever word you want to use there. It's giving something back to the customer as well. And I think that when you guys approached us, we were just kind of like, wow, this is amazing. You know, this is a fantastic idea. And you're going to implement it as well, because, you know, we can all have these concepts and write them down on a napkin, but actually then to get up and do something about it is really quite incredible. So yeah, thanks for asking us to join.
Yeah, thank you for all the support. It's been a learning curve for us taking this on. It's like nothing we've ever done before. But without having people support us from the beginning, we wouldn't be where we are right now. And we've come a long way, and we're proud of what we've achieved so far.
Yeah, good of you.
On that sort of note about supporting local businesses, for you guys personally, why do you think it's important that people shop ethically?
I think the term ethical can have lots of different notions and can bring up lots of different ideas for different people. So maybe I would probably put it as shopping a bit more thoughtfully or a bit more kindly, or just giving it a few more seconds to make your decision where you're going to spend your pounds. And I've forgotten what your question was. Now I've gone off on a big ramble.
Well, I think the ethical purchase, if you want to put everything that we're talking about under that ethical kind of umbrella, I think people need to remember that when they give somebody some money, they spend some money, it has an effect, and you do have a choice as to what that effect is. And the difference between spending £1 in Tesco's on a cabbage and spending £1 at the farmer's market on a cabbage is really quite different.
Yeah.
And again, like the small nudges to try and improve the bigger picture, getting people to think about the small effect of each and every pound they spend is the first step towards making all of the consumer choices that bit better for everyone.
I think also, now I've remembered what you did ask me, is that there's people behind each of these brands, which is what you're doing a brilliant job of highlighting and showcasing, that we are all individuals, we're all doing our own thing, usually with a huge amount of passion, blood, sweat and tears, and kind of determination to make things work. And there is, you know, you see the post on Instagram that often says, you know, when you buy from a small business, somebody actually does a happy dance. Well, that's actually quite true, because you do.
All the time.
You have a happy dance, yeah. And I think that's kind of also a really important element of shopping small, isn't it? And whether that, hopefully ethically as well and thoughtfully.
Yeah, it's a really good way of putting it. Actually, it is it's the consciousness, isn't it, behind your purchasing decisions, and actually understanding where your money will be, or what it's contributing towards. I think that's we do a happy little dance, don't we? So when we've had a couple of sales come through the door for yourselves, we're absolutely buzzing, aren't we?
Yeah, we're always really happy, especially when we help you guys.
Yeah,
Likewise.
We like to hear.
Like you. We're good friends.
So, just thinking, for the people who are watching this, who are tuning in, how many of you there are? We love you all. What would be the one thing that you would love them to do?
Well, obviously, we'd like them to sign up at Ethical. First step. Yeah. Obviously, we'd like them to come and shop with us as well.
But they can do that through Ethical, so they wouldn't necessarily need to.
All right, back to step one. I think generally just think a little bit more about what you're doing and the effect it has on the environment and you know, the people that you're buying from and the people that are affected by what you do.
I think also if it's about the one thing that people can do to support small businesses, you put a really good post on Instagram the other day, which was about not even having to part with their money. It's about liking their posts, leaving a comment, giving some feedback, making suggestions for things that they would like to see or improve. And one of the beauties of being small and working for yourself and developing your own products is that you have that input. So if someone comes to us and says, we'd really prefer it if the bottle was a bit bigger, smaller, wider, a different shape, that doesn't just then get lost into a big giant corporate. It's that we sit down and say, oh, well, would it be? How would that work? And we look at ways of doing that. So I think it's, if people can kind of give feedback, give their time, just in terms of comments, likes, interaction, it's about keeping that community going. And like Dan said, go over to your website and sign up so that people can start earning their ethical rewards today.
Yeah, that's lovely. That's really, really nice to hear. Thank you so much, Vic and Dan, for joining us today in Meet the Founders. It has been really nice to hear more about you, your story, and what the future holds. And thank you again for being on this journey with us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much for having us.
Bye.
Bye.